nature's most spectacular natural phenomenon. Nature's most spectacular natural
You're listening to the Dawn Chorus live from Cuscany Marsh Nature Reserve in Cove. It's just coming up to 6 o'clock. Time for news headlines now with... Honey and lemon, Susan, honey and lemon. Thank you very much indeed. You rejoin us for the last hour of the International Dawn Chorus live from Cuscany Marsh Nature Reserve here in Cove. For the last 6 hours, we have been hearing the birds singing right across Europe and beyond, Asia and Africa. And before that, yesterday evening at 8 p.m, we had a special intercontinental Dawn Chorus broadcast when we brought you the sounds of birds from all the continents. A truly magical experience and a very enjoyable one. I'm here with Dr. Richard Collins. Well, actually, Richard is actually taking a little bit of a rest at the moment, and Niall Hatch of Birdwatch Ireland. I want to say thanks to all the crews, both in RTE, back at base in Donnybrook, and here in Cuscany Marsh, and indeed all the crews working with all of the outside broadcasts right around the world who made this happen this evening, all of the experts, all of the enthusiasts, to you, our listeners, for everything. For taking part in this programme. We really do appreciate it. Let's go back to the East Coast, to Terry Flanagan, Éanna Nilana and Eric Dempsey.
Yes, well, it's just dawn now, Derek. The sun is rising. I just have to take a beautiful photograph of it and I'll tweet it. We've got lots and lots of birds here now at the moment. You're probably hearing them there in the background. We've had our blackbirds to start with. We've had our robins, and we had a gold crest there.
That was wonderful, wasn't it? Yeah, the really high pitch.
Incredible to hear that as well. And we had the wren too. We had the wren very, very early this morning. I normally expected the wren to be a little bit deeper. I was expecting the robin and the blackbird. The blackbird did come first.
What I thought was lovely was the blackcap.
The blackcap's a beautiful singer, isn't it?
And it was sort of like all scratchy, and then into this lovely song.
Yeah.
And now, it was really good.
We were hoping to hear a buzzard, and we haven't heard one all morning. Do you know we've heard lots of too? We've heard some jays, but we've also heard the cock pheasant. Cock pheasant is beautiful, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, the noise of him was like a machine gun. It's hardly a song at all, really, indeed.
Yeah. So
there was such a variety of them, though. We have the blackbird.
Yeah.
But what we didn't get, we saw them walking around. There's the song thrush.
Yes. Now, do you know what I'm on about? When we were here last night. We heard the song thrush, but I think the song thrush, you get the song thrush more often for the dusk chorus than you do for the dawn chorus. Do you remember last night, Eric, when we were here? We were listening to the song thrush. We haven't heard them at all this morning.
No song thrushes.
No, we saw them walking around though.
Yeah, but not a single one singing. It's funny, even it's well into the dawn chorus now. Enough of the birds have stopped singing. There's very few blackbirds and there's wrens and things that we have there, but the blackbirds have stopped. Robins have stopped.
You were the first to pick up that gold crest earlier on.
That's right, yes, indeed. And they've such a high pitch. We were discussing how, as you get older,
you find it more difficult.
You find it more difficult to hear gold
I'm
crest.
sure I won't hear it soon. I don't know, we had the pigeon and not the pigeon, the other one, the dove.
Oh, the dove, you had the collared dove.
We had collared dove. Yes, that's right, yes.
That was lovely, yeah.
I know it's been a lovely morning here, and it was very cold at one stage, and that was at the time when birds were just beginning to sing. And oftentimes, when it's very cold, birds tend to not sing, for too long. They just get on and. But
it's at that time as well, too, the sound carries so really, really well at that time. The other one thing I want to say as well, too, I'm sure the two of you knows it, now that it has become dawn, that you can see the grounds for what they're really, really like. That they're really spectacular.
Magnificent,
and it's an absolute credit to Paddy Smith and his team that work here, because they are a fantastic crew here that work here.
I think we should let the birds do the singing.
Yeah, just let's have a listen.
Well, thanks, Terry, Aina and Eric. We want to go to Portugal next to Domingos Leitão. Hello, Domingos.
Hello, I'm Domingos Leitão. I'm here in the Santarém in central Portugal, and I work for Spain, other life in Portugal, and I'm hearing a lot of birds around here.
What are the main species that you're hearing at the moment?
So it starts with robin and wren, the closest birds, and there are a chorus of black cap and blackbirds in background, and a couple of Iberian chiffchaffs singing sparsely. I hope one of those get closer for us to hear it.
Well, we've been hearing the regular chiffchaff throughout various locations of the dawn chorus, but the Iberian chiffchaff is a separate species with a somewhat different song. That'd be very good to hear.
Yeah, it's one here. Actually, it's not a chiffchaff. It does chiff only, not the chaff.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I'm afraid you're being dominated by the wren. I noticed there's a lot of wrens.
Yeah.
Somebody told me more wrens in Ireland than there are people.
Yeah, wrens outnumber human beings in Ireland.
Is it the same in Portugal?
Yes. There's a chiff-chaff over my head, but the wren, it's very close.
Oh, yes.
Can you hear the chiff?
No, I can't hear it, but then there were some frequencies I couldn't hear earlier. So as the night has gone on, it's very bright here. Is it bright in Portugal? What time have you got there now at the moment?
Sorry, I didn't get
What
your
time
question.
is it in Portugal now?
Now it's 6 o'clock in the morning, the same time in Ireland.
Same, over on the same time
zone, that's right.
Oh, of course, at this time of year.
And it's interesting to hear the similarities in the dawn chorus where you are and the dawn chorus that we have here in Cork. Oh, there's the Iberian chiffchaff. I can hear that quite clearly there now.
The difference is that the day starts later here, because we are further south, so it starts much later than you there, but the time is the same, and the birds pretty much the same, except for some species like the Iberian chiffchaff, like the serin, but the serin's too early for the serins. It would be nice to hear the serin also.
Well, Domingos, thank you very much indeed, and very much appreciated. Let's go to Susan O'Donoghue, who's in County Clare. She's on the burn. Susan.
Hi, greetings from the burn. Yes, I'm not standing on the typical limestone pavement that everybody comes to see in the burn. I'm standing actually on the edge of a bog here, and mature conifer trees just to my back, and a young stand and bog and farmland in front of me, a little bit of limestone in the distance. And things have kind of really started to kick off in the last hour and a half, and a lot of blackbird, robin and wren at the moment, chaffinch too, and goldcrest of course, and coal tit in these mature conifers as well. Cuckoos have moved off a bit from this area now, so there was a bit more cuckoo action just a little bit a while ago, female bubbling and 3 males, which was exciting to hear, one with a 3-note call, which I've never heard, which is really funny to hear.
And we heard that
So,
from Wick and Fen
I'll let
as
you have a
well. I've
listen
never
if
heard
you'd
it
like.
before. It's very unusual. It's almost as if they got a surprise.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a palpitation when you think you've missed a beat. Actually, you've got an extra one, I think, as I understand.
That's right. And of course, Susan, the burren is one of the real strongholds for cuckoos in Ireland. It's a species that's declined quite a bit across the country. It's so widespread here, but the burren is a place you're pretty much guaranteed to hear it.
Yes, I know. You read that in books. You think, oh yeah, there's loads of cuckoos. You read about the burren and Connemara having the highest densities of breeding pairs of cuckoos, but it's only when you actually go out and do a survey like the Countryside Bird Survey and take a 1 kilometre square unit in the burren or Connemara, and then you'll see for yourself actually 3, 4, 5 cuckoos maybe at a time in that 1.5, 2 hours. So yeah, it's really a feast for the ears and the eyes when they turn up.
Susan, thank you very much indeed. We're going to Suffolk next, and we're going to say hello to Eric and Donna Simmons. Hello, Eric. Hello, Donna.
Hi, Derek. How are you doing? You're joining us here today in our little piece of Suffolk. We're listening to the birds like probably most of your listeners do, actually in our own garden. So we're, as you know, we're in Suffolk. We're the most easterly county of the UK. So we're blessed by being kissed by the sun before anybody else in the whole country. So we're quite lucky in that respect.
So has it been a busy morning there? Lots of birds?
It's been a very busy morning here. Actually, we've come further down our garden than we normally would. We're down in the trees, and you might just be able to hear in the background the rookery. The rookery has really expanded quite a lot over the last couple of years, and it's becoming quite dominant in the dawn chorus now.
And how do you feel about the rooks?
They're kind of noisy neighbours, Donna, aren't they?
They are, yes.
they wake everything else up. So yeah, they're good, but they're pretty dominant in the garden. But what we have noticed this year is probably a rise in the chaffinches. The chaffinches have been very dominant this year.
Such a distinctive song, the chaffinch, isn't it? It's the real sound of spring to me. This lovely descending series of notes that sort of ends in a trill. It's a great sound.
Do you think we might get Derek to do us an impression? If I take anything from this broadcast, it's going to be Derek's impression of the capercaillie.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
No, can I tell you, Eric? If the chaffinch was staring at me and singing, I wouldn't still recognise its song. I recognise the bird. I'm very bad on bird song. The ones I know are the ones I know, if you know what I mean. But the ones I don't know, I don't know.
You got the Asian koel earlier, which very much impressed me. And the reed warwick.
That's an easy one to get.
Yeah, but still.
You've really impressed us today, Derek, I'd have to say. But we've on the subject of the chaffinch, we have a little friend, Donna, don't we?
We do. We have our own personal little chaffinch who comes up sits on the bedroom window ledge in the morning and taps on the bedroom window. And once we're up and we're downstairs, he then comes down to the kitchen window and taps on the kitchen window.
Now we're not sure why that behaviour is happening with this particular bird. He's certainly not feeding, because we do have some blue tits which feed around the edges of the windows for the spiders and such like. But this chaffinch is actually tapping on the glass. Now, we're just wondering whether he can see his own reflection. I don't know if there's anybody there that might have
Niall is our man from Birdwatch Ireland.
Yeah, we get lots of reports of this with chaffinches, also particularly with blue tits and with pied wagtails, and it is that they're seeing their reflection in the window. Birds don't know what reflections are. In nature, they wouldn't see such a perfect image of themselves. They don't know it's themselves. They think it's a rival that has dared to invade their territory, so they go to attack that rival. And instead of taking a hint and flying away when it's attacked, the rival seems to fight back with equal ferocity. So it can really be be a battle that goes on and on without end. So if people have that problem, what we recommend to do is you get some cling film, scrunch it up so it's very wrinkled, put it over the outside of the window pane so it's quite loose, and that breaks up the reflection enough that the bird no longer recognises it but still allows light to come through into the house.
What a great idea that is. Now we have had something else quite peculiar that's happened this year because we've had some weather, Donna, haven't we?
We've had some very strange weather. Yesterday, I think we had 4 seasons in one day.
We did. It was really obscure, the way that the weather changed yesterday, but we had temperatures in the mid-20s in February. And yesterday it was like -2, -3 here. It was absolutely bitter. But we had what we're quite sure was a pair of nesting green woodpeckers in a tree. Now they weren't nesting in a hole. They're nesting in the crook of the branches of the tree, which seemed a bit weird to me. And they've had 3 young, and those young have fledged before the end of April. Now, that seems really strange to us.
That's extremely early. Now, green woodpecker is a bird that we don't have here in Ireland. It's quite widespread in Britain and on the continent, but in Ireland it's the only woodpecker we have is great spotted, and that's only a recent colonist. But you're right, for any woodpecker, that is early. That's very interesting.
But I just wondered if anybody had heard of them nesting not inside an enclosure, if you like, actually nesting in the crook of the tree.
I haven't come across that. That is very unusual. Again, it's not something we would have any information here in Ireland, but it's interesting to know if anyone from the rest of the
we have so many listeners in the UK today. Can you please email mooney@rte.ie and we'll pass on the information to Eric and Donna. Eric and Donna, thank you very much indeed. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much. Oh, God, I haven't said that for a long time. Right, we're going to Slovenia now, and Andrea Gradisvar. Hello, Andrea, again.
Hi from Tomasz and Andrea. Well, a lot has happened since we last talked. Now it's bright here. It's still raining a little bit and it's getting windy, but in front of us, Tomasz, quite a picturesque scene.
Yes, this bad weather has forced birds to stop over here. We can see hundreds of black and white winged terns that are flying low above the water. Also hundreds of swallows and some sand martins also. Yes, so it's really lively here.
So this is how it looks like at the lake. Tirkniško jezero is our spot, but maybe let's hear our birds also. Some have started to sing and there are a lot more than 2 hours ago.
Yes, now we can hear quite a few species actually here around. Black caps, chaffinch, cuckoo was just a little before. Black cap here, chaffinch. So yeah, we are here at the edge of the lake with a lot of bushes and trees around, so we can't really hear the water birds. That now we hear a wood pigeon.
And Tomasz mentioned before a cuckoo bird. Maybe it's just that I add some info. Cuckoo bird is also a sign for our radio. You can always hear it before news. So Radio Slovenia is connected to birds. But maybe let's listen now for a few more minutes to our birds.
Now we can hear coot now here behind. Some ducks.
And the rain is getting heavier again, what does that mean for the birds? They will hide probably in the bushes or somewhere else?
They will remain mainly where they are, but they will stop singing because they don't like such weather.
Well, guys, thank you very much indeed. It was a pleasure having you on board for the broadcast. Sorry, I'm tired, but we really do appreciate it. So thank you very much indeed. Let's go to Lynn Bowles now, BBC Radio Wales. Lynn.
Hello, Derek. It's been a long night, hasn't it? We have had a lovely, lovely time here. We started off 1 o'clock in the morning here, pitch black, but we have very dark skies here in Mid Wales, and the starlight was fantastic. To my surprise, there were birds singing, were there not? We're here with Daniel Jenkins-Jones, and it's here near Machynlleth. It was surprising to me.
Wasn't really surprising to me, because the bird that was singing was a sedge warbler that sang for 4 or 5 hours. They do sing during the night. Grasshopper warblers similarly sing during the night. And so that was one of the birds, funnily enough, that stopped singing as soon as the sun came up. But it was joined briefly by another one, so we had a bit of a duet. And then I'm glad to say that the birds here in this here followed the copybook, followed the rule book, really. We did have things like moorhens and owls calling during the night before the sun came up. But then, right according to plan, the robin began singing, and then the blackbird, and then we did have a songstress singing here for a while as well. And then we had an early wren, and then we had what we have next. Then the tit started to wake up, the great tit, cold tit, blue tit we had. Then we had chaffinch singing, and then just very within the last half an hour or so, the warblers are the last ones to get out of bed here. And so we've had plenty of blackcaps singing and the odd chiff-chaff as well. Brilliant.
Do you feel it's been a good representation? Because there are so many habitats here at Annishere. We have the wetlands, we have estuary, we have woodland. Do you feel they've been represented?
The commoner birds have been represented. The one bird I really wanted to hear was the wood warbler. They are here undoubtedly. We're probably just that little bit, not quite far enough, inside the woods to be able to hear them. But they are here, definitely. I know that they're here.
The mists are passing over the wetland that's just in front of me, which is very beautiful and very evocative of times gone by. And the sun has just breasted the hill. We are finally in sunlight, which we are very thrilled about. And I saw an extraordinary thing. You've probably seen this sort of thing all the time. 5 cormorants flying across and came across us. I was really surprised by that.
Well, people associate cormorants very often with the seaside, but we are very close to the coast here as well. Don't forget, we're 2 or 3 miles to the west of us where we've got open sea. But cormorants, it was unusual to see them flying over the woodland here first thing in the morning.
We've had a magnificent time here, Derek. Thank you for letting us join in. It has been a special experience, and we're going to leave you with some of our birds singing their hearts out here from BBC Radio Wales.
Lynn, thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Daniel Jenkins-Jones, also. Let's go now to Fergus Sweeney again. He was with Rory Cowan earlier. He's now with comedian June Rogers. Fergus.
And I've moved to Fir House in Tala too. June has a cottage here that's over 100 years old. And you've been here for how long, June?
99 of those. Good morning, Derek.
Good morning, June. Thank you very much indeed. You normally get up this early.
Birds up here. There's fine looking birds up here in Fir House, I can tell you.
Can they sing?
Well, I'm doing my best to sing.
June, you like your wildlife and you like your garden, so can you recognise the birds without seeing them?
Yes, well, we have a great amount of blackbirds, but this morning there's a few curting couples, so they're not singing. They're doing a bit of chasing around the garden, and then we've got lots of house sparrows. They're coming alive now in the hedges, and they're feeding off the peanuts. As well as that, we have our nesting boxes, and the blue tits are feeding as well off the Niger seed. So the garden, I think it's a bit quieter this morning. I think maybe it's the bank holiday weekend. They might have been out last night on the tear, but they're a bit slow this morning.
But have you got birds nesting in the garden itself?
I do, yeah. Yeah, I have 5 nesting boxes, and they're nesting at the moment, especially the blue tits.
It's great to watch the bluetooth in those nest boxes. They're one of the species that benefits most from nest boxes in gardens, and it's a wonderful thing to watch, especially for children. It's so great to see the parents coming in and out with the food, and then the young leaving the nest. It's all part of the cycle of life, and it's very exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's so tranquil here this morning as well, even though the house is nearly 120 years old, but it is built up around. And even Fergus said you wouldn't believe it's an oasis here. It's so quiet. You wouldn't think that you have a main road outside. So blessed.
But one of the things you do notice, June, because I was here 12 hours ago in the daytime, and it's the birds. You notice that they're swooping down to the feeders all the time, magpies, and it's the same now. You see them all over the place. So you've done your best to make sure that there's that if you're sitting in your conservatory, you can see them all the time.
Oh yeah, and that's what I love. I have the seating is there. It's like a TV in front of you that you can watch it. But the thing is, what I try to do is I try to feed all the birds, even though the magpies can be,
You don't put magpies?
Well, listen, they're a beautiful bird, but I don't like that they're quite vicious to some of the smaller birds. But I feed them all because I think that's a good thing to do, you know what I mean?
Tell us about that day you looked out and there wasn't a bird at one of the feeders, but there was 3 other little...
we have field mice that come out at night time, and they feed off the feeders as well. But we came out one day and there was 3 rats hanging out of them as well. That was a day that we had to take all the feeders back in again and get that under control. You know what I mean?
Oh dear.
But anyway, it's been a fantastic night. I really enjoyed listening to the show. Congratulations, Derek. That was brilliant.
Well, no, thanks to all the team, and thanks to you, June. Thanks, Fergus, also for giving up your weekend. We really appreciate it. Fergus, who had gone from Rory Khan's house over to June, so we appreciate everybody's support here. Thank you very much. We're going to Kenya now. Irene Rose Mandandao. Irene Rose, how are you?
Welcome back to the singing competition. All the birds woke up.
Excellent. Glad to hear it.
Yeah, so now we had the singing cisticola, the malachite sunbird, and the olive thrushes woke up, and the black-eyes woke up, and there's just a huge singing competition, and the Ruppel's robin chat wasn't left behind.
Why have they got such interesting, exotic-sounding names when our ones here are simply called the thrush, the blackbird, the robin, the wren? You've got add-ons.
I don't know. I mean, it's amazing. And they had the ibis trying to drown out everyone, and the black-bucked puffbuck was also a tiny little cute bird, but it's really booming in this little forest around here. And I could hear the little malachite kingfish also trying to make a statement in the background. Yeah.
It's interesting, a lot of the birds you're mentioning there are very, very colourful. And here in Europe, we usually associate, the best singers as being the birds that tend to have the drabbest plumage, and often the birds here that are very colourful have the least interesting songs. It seems in Kenya, the birds have it all. They can have their cake and eat it, because some of the ones you're describing, very beautiful birds, but also seem to have very good songs.
Oh, they do. You should have would you like to give an ear right now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Irene Rose, thank you very much indeed. We're going to listen to the sounds now of the Salty Islands.
That's different.
Very different.
Hello, Derek. Can you hear me?
We can.
Great. the sun has finally come up on Saltee, but it's absolutely beautiful, sitting in this amphitheatre of seabirds. So I thought I'd give you the bass notes rather than all those higher contraltos and altos and sopranos you had all.
Oh no, the Saltee is gone.
Well, the Saltee, they're famous for their seabirds. So what we're hearing there is some of the birds in the seabird colony. So on the Saltees, you get razorbills and
it's amazing out there. The grey Saltee, I've been on it a few times. I haven't been out there for almost over 20 years though. No, it's okay. We lost you for a second. You're back again.
Yeah, the connection's up and down, Derek, for some reason. Yeah, a brilliant night I think you had.
It really was. It was a real treat to be involved with it. They said they sounded really good, but to hear your seabirds there on the Salty Islands is particularly special. What species are you hearing there?
I don't know. Some razorbills and guillemots below me on the cliff here. Just they're starting to wake up. The sun is just starting to hit the cliff that they're on. So I think they're greeting the sun as it comes up. It's been a very cold night here. So birds slow to move this morning.
Let's have a listen. See if we can hear them just before we finish up on it. If we take down the sounds here from Tuscany, well, very hard because all the mics are open together. We'll see if we can get a sound of that seabird colony. No, it's coming and going. We've been very lucky throughout the whole night with all 34 or 35 locations, whatever it was. Very few lines went down.
But the logistics behind it, it's mind-boggling, getting everything right.
Where are we going to next? Because Poland, we're going to next. Back to Poland. Hello, everybody in Poland.
Hello.
Hi, Eric.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hello.
We can hear you, Eric.
Hi, Niall. I am again on the fan I can hear there is a full set of waders. We had calling curlews before, and also red shank and godwits, snipes and lapwing. There is also singing sedge warbler, but I am approaching the aquatic warbler, which is in the vicinity from here, one of our emblematic birds. So I will try to approach. Yeah, it's already close by. Can you hear the voice?
Yes. Yes, that's that sort of scratchy, rasping song. Yes.
I think we've lost Yarrick and the signal there as well. It's the long hours. Let's go back to Ewan McElraith, who's in Scotland. Ewan.
Hi, Derek. We have got a sky full of terns. It is just wonderful, Kirky, isn't it?
Yeah, they're sort of drowning out everything else, really. So there's a blue tit singing in the bush right next to me, but you can't really hear anything over the common terns circling above us.
And it was great during the night because we were probably the least birdsong friendly place in the planet, and then suddenly about 4:30, 4:45, wallop, there was a robin started, wasn't it?
Yeah, robins really quietly, and then a little bit later wren and blackbird, sort of, multiple of each, sort of singing their hearts out.
And I was painting this picture here, Derek. It is just, as I said, a sky full of terns, and they're just wheeling and spinning, and they're just such beautiful, elegant birds, and they'll keep this up for the rest of the day.
Yeah, they're around, and then eventually they'll all settle down and start nesting on the island in front of the visitor centre here.
Yeah, no, it's been a long and interesting night hearing the beautiful sounds from around the world. Interestingly, you came to us just after speaking to your Polish contributor, because we've got ponies here, wild ponies, conic ponies, and they come from
Poland originally, I believe.
And ironically, conic means
pony, so they're ponies.
So we have ponies. And Derek, it was a beautiful sight because we've got 10 ponies walking through the water knee deep with 2 delightful little baby ponies. Sorry, okay, no, it's just a beautiful sight, and they're walking through the terns and the black-headed gulls. It's been a great night, but now you can see it. Hear the song. I'll leave you with the song for a couple of seconds.
All those terns. Unfortunately, we've been drowned out here by a mechanical bird flying overhead right now. I'm sure Cork Airport, that could be the first flight. I haven't heard any more.
No,
Did I hear one this morning? I might have heard one earlier.
It's obviously just started.
I wasn't paying attention to it, but it's probably building up now. It's getting busier, or they're flying lower. Ewan, thank you very much indeed. And Christy, thank you too. We really do appreciate all the effort you put in. That's our colleagues at BBC Radio Scotland and the RSPB in Aberdeen. We're going back now to, where are we going? To Wick and Fen, to BBC Cambridgeshire, and it's Susan Marchant. Susan. Chris Baines is in Wolverhampton. Chris.
Hello.
What so did the Tony Owls call?
Derek.
Thank you very much. Did the owls call at all?
Sleep now, I think. It's been a glorious morning here, actually, and I've just loved listening to the programme. I can't tell you how thrilled I am with what you and the team have done with that really simple little idea, and hearing so many enthusiastic people in so many places and such wonderful bird song. Absolutely thrilling. And just having the excuse to get up yet again myself and sit here frozen to the spot almost literally this morning, but not just now listening to the birds. We've had blackbirds and wrens and robins and so on, but actually because I've been sitting so quietly in my little garden, they've forgotten I'm here, and so I'm now surrounded by them. The blue tits have moved into the bird feeders, the robins are moving backwards and forwards in the hedge. It's magic. I suddenly really feel part of this landscape. So it's a wonderful, wonderful thing, and the programme has just been magical.
Well, Chris, we really appreciate you saying that, so thank you very much indeed. It's interesting that the birds are still singing here. I remember the last time we were in Cove, I was very anxious about the birds. They seem to have stopped singing, but they're on full since 5 o'clock pretty much.
Well, we've got perfect dawn chorus conditions here, Derek, at the moment. It's a lovely, calm, still morning. There's no wind, there's no rain, so the birds are going to make the most they can of that and sing and proclaim those territories, to press the mates, and that's what's going on around us.
Can we just have a little listen to the birds here again, just for a moment or two? I was saying earlier there are a lot of wrens in this part of the world, Niall, and you were saying that there are more wrens in Ireland than there are people.
That's right.
How do you count them? Come on.
Well, it's through extrapolating from surveys like BirdLife Ireland's Countryside Bird Survey, where you select randomly selected squares in Ireland. We have volunteers and dedicated bird watchers who walk transects, noting down every bird they see in here, and from that you can work out the relative abundance of different species of bird, and we know that there seem to be at least 7 million wrens in Ireland, so they do indeed outnumber human beings. So
we're going to go back to our colleagues in Cyprus and say good morning once again.
Kalimera.
Christina, so any developments there? Has it all quietened down, or is it still busy?
It has quietened down. It's a bit hit and miss, isn't it? You can't really plan with the birds. I just had a great spotted cuckoo flying around in circles, but he's gone off. I had a Sardinian warbler singing behind me, but he's gone quiet. It's, it's part of the joys, I suppose, of birding.
It often happens at the dawn chorus, absolutely. Just you expect the bird to sing itself. But have you enjoyed the experience?
I really have. No, it's been really fantastic, and I'm really pleased that we had this opportunity. Oh, can you hear the spurring lapwings? Oh no, it's quieting down there again.
I want to wish Chris Baines, who we were just speaking to before we went to you, I meant to do it a happy birthday because it was Chris's idea to have an international dawn chorus day. We had been broadcasting the dawn chorus before that, but Chris came up with this idea some years ago, and it's grown and grown and grown and grown, and the concept of an international dawn chorus day was his idea, and which is a fantastic idea. So and he celebrated it on his birthday, so every year he celebrates his birthday on International Dawn Chorus Day. So happy birthday, Chris. I meant to say that, and I should have said that Sean Pearce, my mind was gone there, was on the Great Saltee for us, and I completely forgot to say that. So Sean, my apologies. Now, you might remind people who are just joining us now what the whole concept is about. From our point of view, it's broadcasting the sounds of early morning bird song and the birds just singing to attract a mate and hold a territory. But there's a conservation message in what we're doing, which is why you teamed up with us, Birdwatch Ireland.
Absolutely, Derek. I mean, it's very important that we're showcasing these birds on the radio and into so many countries, and doing it as part of a partnership. We've got together with the European Broadcasting Union and also with BirdLife International partners around the globe to showcase these birds and to show how magic they can be. And the idea of everyone coming together and celebrating birds, and therefore celebrating our natural environment, is something that I think is very, very powerful. You know, there's so much division in the world. There's so many, so so much trouble and strife going on, and yet we can all come together to enjoy these birds and spread that message around the world. And it's actually the birds who are speaking for themselves. That's what I really like. We don't have to talk about it or try to convince people that these are worth having and worth saving. We're hearing it ourselves. And to bring so many people together, all the messages we're getting in, all the social media tweets and posts, it's really fascinating to me just to see how the message is getting across. International Dawn Chorus Day is the perfect way to do that.
Richard.
Well, now, it was a wonderful night. There's something in the way there. Yes, very good. It was a wonderful night, and we had a great spread. It's much more international and gets more international every year. So eventually we will have a total world dawn chorus. But it will have to go on for 24 hours because we have a complete circuit of the earth.
Well, I think it's a good idea, yeah.
Literally what we're hearing is, as with the dawn of travel, it's the sound of the world spinning on its axis. And that still blows my mind. We're hearing the rotation of the world in real time. And that's really humbling.
It goes back to millions of years. I mean, this sound has never ceased. It's always there. It's taken up now. It's gone from us to Brazil. That would be the next to the west, country to the west, which takes up the dawn chorus, and it goes on and so on, and it never stops. The birds are singing somewhere at all times. And think of the energy of that.
It's wonderful. Let's go back to Wick and Fen. Susan Marchant, BBC Cambridge. Susan.
Hello, Derek. Well, I tell you what a wonderful opportunity this has been, and how beautiful it is on the fen this morning. The clouds are just above us, but there is some blue coming through, and the sun is trying to peek through, but the colours across the fen are absolutely superb. As we look across Baker's Fen, that's right, isn't it, Martin?
That's correct, yeah.
We've been having a display by the lapwings. I've seen shell ducks, but more exciting, Derek, is that a cuckoo flew past. And the thing is, I wouldn't have known it was a cuckoo unless Martin would have told me, but at least I've seen a cuckoo now. I think he's gone back to bed because I can't hear anything.
Well, I don't blame him or her.
That sounds good.
That sounds good at this stage. I've been up since 4 a.m. yesterday morning and I haven't slept a wink, but by God, I need to go to bed myself soon. But Susan and Martin, thank you very much indeed. And thanks to your colleagues at BBC Radio Cambridge for facilitating us and for taking part, and to your listeners for joining in all the fun. We really do appreciate it. Good morning to you. And let's go to BBC Belfast now, and Claire Barnett from the RSPB, and from BBC Radio Ulster, David Maxwell. David.
Derek, thank you for joining us again. Belfast is looking beautiful this morning, absolutely bathed in golden sunlight. The industry all around me lit up by that. We've talked about it all night. The ships, the shipping containers. A short while ago, a plane took off. Half an hour ago, a cruise ship arrived, the Marco Polo. It had come from Cardiff. And this is what will welcome those visitors to Belfast. This sound this morning. Have a listen. That's what we can hear now. We did get round to our woodland mic a little earlier, where we could hear all of those beautiful songbirds. And you can hear that now. Claire Barnett is with me. That was my highlight, Claire. I don't know about you.
It has been a really interesting evening. I have to say, it's been a real pleasure to be able to do that. So thank you very much indeed. I just can't believe how few birds are in the lagoon compared to what. Also, it just stresses to me how important this is a site for roosting birds, you know. So they're all coming in here, hundreds of shell ducks, lots of curlew, loads of different types of gulls and coots and things, and then they all just skedaddle when it comes to the daytime. So it's a really important site for lots of different reasons. But I was just looking up, way up in the sky, and there's about 30 common terns just flying above our heads, and it's so lovely to see. And when you look out the window, sometimes you forget to look right up. But I'm going to make sure I do that in future.
Real acrobats of the air. We spotted the Arctic tern a moment ago as well, which was a highlight for me. But over in that woodland area, even just hearing the blackbirds start first thing, when there was just a little bit of light, and then one after the other, he seemed to wake up the other birds.
Yeah, he must be top dog in the blackbird world, because he was definitely the boss of what we were listening to, because as we looked, it's scanned across D3 as well, everywhere, the other area to the right of us, there must have been honestly 20 plus blackbirds singing, and then they are joined by the chorus of robins and the blackcaps and the wrens and the dunnocks. So it's really lovely to hear that.
Did you discover anything new? You said you hadn't stayed up all night before at this reserve. What do you think you take away from having been here overnight?
But you know what, it just reminds me what a wonderful place it is with all the different habitats and the different species, and it's all right here. You don't have to go very far to hear it all or see it all, and I think it just reminds me what a really special place the RTB Window Wildlife is.
And proof if proof were needed that man, symbolised by all of this around us, the cranes and the city and the industry, can live side by side with wildlife.
Absolutely, this is a very industrial area, and it only takes an area like this and a few other bits and bobs of really important green space around us to really create something magical for these birds, and really, really needed.
I know people here listening to BBC Radio Ulster this week have been really captivated by hearing birds throughout the week and will have really enjoyed this broadcast overnight. Is there anything we can do as individuals to improve the lot of some of these birds?
So of course there's lots of things you can do in your own homes, in your own gardens, and there's lots of stuff on the RTB website about giving nature a home there, but also think about how you can look at it from sort of a bigger area. So please support wildlife environmental charities like the RSPB, but also look for campaigns that you can join as well. So we heard earlier about our single Let Nature Sing. That's done really well, but only because so many people backed it. So if you go onto the website, see what campaigns there are, and really, really fight for your environment, fight for nature. Get a hold of your MLA, your MP, whoever it is, and tell them that you want to see nature and you don't want to lose it.
Claire Barnett, thank you very much indeed. Well, I'm looking out. The activity hasn't stopped here overnight in the docks and on this reserve. And I know when the centre opens in just a few hours' time that people will flock down here on what is International Dawn Chorus Day to love and appreciate these birds as people do every day. It's been a privilege to be here tonight. Derek, thank you for the opportunity. And I'll leave you with the sounds of the Belfast Dawn Chorus.
Well, our thanks to our colleagues at BBC Radio Ulster, to David and to Claire. It was terrific. Thank you very much indeed. I genuinely appreciate it. Can I just thank you, our listeners, for your text messages, your emails, and all of your sound recordings. And although we didn't get to them, a lot of them, during the last 7 hours, we will listen to some of them and broadcast perhaps in the coming weeks on the programme, because May is Dawn Chorus season. Let me tell you that tonight, right here on RT Radio 1, you can hear a special programme about the common swift. And then on the 27th of May, that's Monday at 10 p.m, you can hear a programme about the wren. And that will kind of finish off our season of Dawn Chorus, the month of May, right here on RT Radio 1, where we've got some special documentaries about birds, individual birds, which will help educate, enlighten and entertain you. All right, let's go back for one last time to Nuttallstown Castle in West Dublin. Éanna Níl-Anna, Eric Dempsey and Terry Flanagan.
Yes, Derek, we were just discussing there before you came to us about the temperature this year. It seemed to have been colder this year for the Dawn Chorus than it has been for any year, I remember. During the night it was down to -1 or so. Eric, what effect will that have on the birds?
Well, just as it hit about 5 o'clock, the temperature really plummeted. Yeah. And, birds are not going to put up too much energy singing when it is that cold. And if I can just go back on something that Niall was talking about, like the truly international aspect of what we have experienced, this evening or this morning. We've had a chiff-chaff in the last few minutes singing. That has come from, probably Northern Africa. We've had blackcaps, and in the last few minutes we've had swallows feeding over the fields here, right beside where we are. And it shows that birds truly are an international thing. Mm-hmm. They know no boundaries, they know no borders, and if we're going to conserve these things for future generations to experience these dawn courses, it has to be a truly international effort to protect our entire planet and our entire biodiversity. And, by doing a wonderful thing like we've done this morning, and Derek and everybody right across the world, it has brought home that, birds are an international thing, and we need to really, really look after them for the future.
Mind you, we have the nursery rhyme here. We go gathering nuts in May on a cold and frosty morning. So we certainly had the cold and frosty morning. You know what the nuts were? After all, you would expect nuts to be around in September.
I've no idea.
They're pig nuts, and they're little tubers that grow under the ground. So maybe we should go gathering nuts in May. Certainly we had the cold and frosty morning. So presumably the food for the birds changes at this time because our insects are coming on stream. The leaves are here, and they're away from the sort of the vegetarian food that is keeping them going, and they're into the high protein food, and they're off to work.
And don't forget that most of our migrant birds are here for the insects.
Yeah.
You know, so without those insects, you know, we have no food to feed our migrant birds, no food to feed the chicks.
And of course, that's where we are now. We're deep in woodland.
Yes.
And I presume Dawn Chorus originated in woodland. And there's so much leaf on the trees now, and there's so much insect. It's the ideal food for them.
But if you remember, we were here last night, Terry, at, you know, what time was it? Around
8 o'clock or so.
We were eaten alive last night.
By the midges.
There's no midges out this morning.
No, it's too cold for them.
Well, they're warmed up by the sun. Then, and there was no wind last night. The wind and the cold, I suppose, stops them. But because the leaves are on early this year, because last year, if you remember, we didn't get the leaves till nearly the end of May.
That's right.
We have the extra time for the insects then to be eating the leaves, and the birds nesting will have food earlier than last year, perhaps. So it's going to be a good year for birds, hopefully.
Eric, quickly, your highlight of the night. Which species?
For me, blackcap. I always love blackcaps.
Yeah, they sang beautifully. It's a little bit later in the morning, wasn't it?
Later in the morning.
And I heard my favourite one, the blackbird, the very first one, and we were the first in Ireland with our first bird, which was the blackbird. So well done, us and the blackbird.
Exactly.
For a change, because normally it's Eric that wins it every year.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I'm on the East Coast, when I
Yes.
was in the box, I used to always get it. Yeah.
What about yourself?
My favourite was, as always, was the Great Tit. It's so simple, it's so pure. I really just love it.
It wasn't an early starter, though.
No, it wasn't. No, it took a lot longer. And the rain, I was surprised that the rain came in so early.
As I said, it was that coldness was just putting birds off. You know, if that was a warm, balmy morning, those birds would be up singing. But, you know, why do you want to expose yourself? Why do you want to use up your energy? You need to keep that energy because you've had a very cold night.
Yes.
-1 is quite cold at this time of year. You think about little Wren, he's sitting in a holly bush, he's sitting in a tree. He has to use up an awful lot of energy to keep that body heat going. And
of course, their temperature is higher than ours.
Yeah,
about 40, isn't it?
but you know, you lose heat overnight. You need to. They're not going to spend that much energy when they're that cold first thing in the morning.
So they're going to finish up now pretty soon. They're going to start thinking about feeding. Is that it? Get on the move.
As soon as the insects start rising, they'll be on the dog.
No, Derek, it's been a lovely night here in Lutterstown. I'd have to say before we go a quick thank you to Lutterstown Castle, to all the staff, in particular to Paddy Smith, and also to Damien, your own man, sound man, who came out and sorted us out as well. So listen, it's been a great night here. We've thoroughly enjoyed it. So back to you in Cork.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you, Eric. And thank you, Terry Flanagan, indeed. Thanks to our own sound crew here, to Mick McLaughlin and to Brian Namick, who've done a fantastic job, guys. I really do appreciate it. And they've had very long days in the last couple of days. Since midnight, listeners all over the world have been waking to the sound of nature's magnificent symphony, the Dawn Chorus. I'd like to take a minute now to say some more thank yous to everyone who's taken part in this historic broadcast. Firstly, to the professional broadcasters, experts and enthusiasts who have braved the elements and survived this 7-hour marathon program. You've provided us with great entertainment in the way you share the wonders of nature in your particular neck of the woods, and we really appreciate the effort you put in and the expertise and knowledge you've imparted. Thank you. Thanks also to our first-timers, to BBC Wales, Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Cyprus, Israel, Italy, Kazakhstan, Kenya, Mauritius and Portugal. And to our more familiar friends in Wales and Finland, in Slovenia, India, Lithuania, England, Scotland, Australia and Poland. Thanks to the squad here at home in Donegal, Lutterstown, the Burren, Fota Island, Dublin, Cannymead, Galway and Northern Ireland. Not forgetting my trusty companions who've kept me company all morning here in Tuscany Marsh Nature Reserve in County Cork. To Richard Collins, thank you very much indeed, Richard, and to Niall Hatch of Birdwatch Ireland, and to Birdwatch Ireland, and to BirdLife International, and also to the European Broadcasting Union. Let me thank now the technical staff both throughout the world and here at the Nerve Centre on RTE Radio 1. without your diligence in planning and delivering this ambitious and complex broadcast. Quite simply, it could not have happened. Thank you. A word of thanks as well to our colleagues at the EBU and to our production team here who've worked tirelessly, drawing all the threads together to weave a little piece of broadcasting magic for all of you to enjoy. So just bear with me. To Emily, to Jarlath, to John, to Fergus, to Sinead, to Laura Lee, to David Gibson back in sound, and John and Andrew